Hey guys, TSW here with TGN, and in this video I'm going to loosely go over the strategy for Baleroc Heroic, but instead go into depth about how to tank it, correct trinket usage, and a good cooldown rotation. So first of all, the trinkets I'm using. Number one, a vial of stolen memories, passive stamina, which is great for this encounter as the tanks will be given a buff called Blaze of Glory, increasing their HP. It also has a use increasing dodge by just under 7% for 20 seconds, and the dodge effect is really why I wear this trinket, because I am going to be tanking the Inferno Blade, which hits very hard and is avoidable, so why not use a trinket that increases my avoidance, right? It lasts 20 seconds, so the trinket's great, and the Inferno Blade lasts a mere 15 seconds, so the trinket lasts more than enough and is really good. Probably my rank 1 trinket for this fight. We also have a Mirror of Broken Images. The passive mastery isn't too much to shout about, but it's the use again which is key. Increases my resistance to all schools of magic by 400 for 10 seconds. It only lasts 10 seconds, but it's still a very handy trinket for this encounter. It will almost half the fire damage I take, which is great for this encounter, as Inferno Blaze, as the name may suggest, is fire damage. Now let's get into the encounter. Okay, so here we are in front of the boss. A little bit of background information. In the top left hand corner of the screen there will be an annotation which will take you to the normal mode strategy. Please familiarise yourself with this, as I'd rather not go into go over all the simple tactics. I'd much rather go into the more depth and tanking strategy in this video, so make sure you click that annotation if you're not familiar with the normal mode strategy. Okay, so we've got myself being the main tank, taking all the damage except for the Decimation Blade. We have a separate tank, a failed tank in this case, Sethan, who's going to be taking the Decimation Blade. We have him start the pull, take 2 stacks of Blaze of Glory. This will increase his HP by 40%. The Decimation Blade hits for 250,000 damage, or takes the tank down to 10% if he exceeds this HP. So with our Druid tank taking 2 stacks of Blaze of Glory, he's going to get 277 HP, which means that that's more than 250, so he's going to be taken down to 10%, which is what you want. Ideally, you want the main tank, being myself, to get as many stacks of Blaze of Glory as possible. Now, I just taunted, and what's really good is to pop something like Last Stand as soon as the main tank taunts, because the boss will have 2 stacks of Incendiary Soul, increasing his fire damage by 40%, and all damage on this fight is fire, except for the Decimation Blade, which is shadow, hence why later on in the fight, when the boss has loads and loads of stacks of Incendiary Soul, the Druid tank doesn't get one shot with only having 277k HP. So during the blades, during the Decimation Blade, the Druid will be using dodge trinkets. He'll be using the same one I use, as well as having a passive agility trinket, which will give him dodge. During the Inferno Blade, I will be using a trinket and a cooldown for each Inferno Blade. So we've got a blade in the next 2 seconds. Let's see which one it'll be, whether it'll be a Decimation or an Inferno. It's an Inferno Blade, so I'll continue to tank it. I will use my dodge trinket, and I will use my Enrage Rejuvenation. I'll be healing myself, as well as having a passive 7% dodge during the 14-second Inferno Blade. So this is the time when your tanks are most vulnerable during the blades. You want to be using healing cooldowns, and most importantly the tanking cooldowns. As long as you can survive the blades, you're fine for this. This is like the down phase. You're not taking any extra damage as long as you're keeping up your Blaze of Glory stacks. My main concern is keeping the my Demoralizing Shout or the Druid's Demoralizing Roar on the boss, reducing his attack power. We always have the Death Knight's melee slow, so that's fine. Here he goes with his next blade. It's Decimation Blade. Basically, what Decimation Blade does is always takes the tank down to 10% HP as long as he's got over 250k HP. So Sethan here has 316k HP now, so that'll always take him down to 10% HP. The reason he uses a second tank is because if it was on me with my 582,000 HP, it would take me down to 10% HP, and it's not healable for me to get like full before I take the next swing. I'd just be hit and then melee swung, because at this point he's hitting for like over 100,000 per melee swing. So I don't have enough HP, never will I have enough HP to take melee swing under 10% HP, so that's why you have to use 2 tanks here, or if you've got a paladin tank you can solo tank it. So here he is doing an Inferno Blaze, Inferno Blade, I keep calling it Blaze. I've used my resistance to magic trinket as well as my shield wall, so I'm reducing my damage taken by 40% with the shield wall, as well as all scores of magic resistance by 400 with my trinket. So during the blade, I'm taking very, very little damage, and like I say, this is the stage where you're gonna encounter the most tank deaths if the cooldowns aren't being used to the best of what they could be. Unfortunately, I do die during this attempt, but it's not during the blades because I know I've got my trinkets and my cooldowns down to a T on this fight. That's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, to help any other tanks out there. During normal mode as well, all this can be applied to normal mode. So he's done his Decimation Blade, we've got our Druid tank taunting off. What he'll be using is the same trinket, I'm using the Dodge trinket, as well as a passive Agility trinket, which will give passive dodge as a Druid, and then calling for healing cooldowns when he doesn't have his trinket available. You can get 2 Inferno Blades, 3 Inferno Blades, or even 4 Inferno Blades, all one after each other. Similarly, the Decimation Blade, they can repeat each other. This is why you need to not use every single cooldown for every single Inferno Blade. It's not, you can't guess when it's coming. You can't predict what's going to happen. And we're going to have another blade. Again, it could be another Decimation Blade, which it is. So say that Sethan used his dodge trinket before, he's going to need external cooldowns for this, because if he's not healed between the decimations, he is going to die. And during the end of the fight, it gets increasingly easier to heal the off tank. As soon as his Decimation Blade ends, I need to taunt. Not during, not a swing afterwards, because he'll get one shot, but as soon as it ends. Right, I do die here because of lack of healing. Not great, but I'm able to get up straight away. Sethan, little baller, being able to stay alive. If a tank does die, they do not lose their Blaze of Glory stack, so they still retain a huge HP pool, so it doesn't wipe you if one of the tanks does die, assuming that not both of them die and your raid starts dying. So he's doing an Inferno Blade here. I'm going to use my resistance to magic trinket, as well as Enraged Regeneration, or Rejuvenation as it's called, as well as using Retaliation. Retaliation just does a little bit more damage, and as you can see by the end of the encounter, we needed all the damage we could muster. Also, I went for a Victory Rush build here because I wasn't using my Safeguard. I don't think I popped Victory Rush at all because I'm always full. But yeah, just in case I went low, I can heal myself for 5%. And that's pretty much the encounter. If you're confused at all, watch the normal mode video in the top left via annotation. Hopefully that'll answer some of your questions there. All I can say to anyone tanking this is try and use a trinket as well as a cooldown, and then having 2 used trinkets I think is so good. Having trinkets which like give mastery when you drop low, I find that all too often they either don't proc at all and then you just get one shot, or they proc at the wrong time and they're on cooldown when you need them. So I like the trinkets where you use them yourself, because you know when they're up and you're the judge of them basically. As well as just using your cooldowns nice, staying calm as always during any raid encounter, even if you may have multiple 1% wipes like we did. But we managed to get him down this time, which was very good. And now we're on Major Mojo, which will be even harder not having a paladin tank in the raid. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of what I do, you can check out my personal channel. There's a link in the description. And again, if you're confused with what we're doing, link in the top left for the normal guide by me. I've been TSW with TGN. Please consider thumbing up this video if you liked it. I'll catch you guys later. Cheers and goodbye. And for those of you interested in the loot, here it is.